Do you guys go into particular order, or are you just kind of gonna toss it back and forth?
I think mostly back and forth, but I think Dr. Iyengar is gonna start and then like me and then Shreya, and then we'll kind
Okay,
of go in that order.
okay. A couple quick things here. So basically, I'll have it set up where all three of you are on, when there's no, when nobody's sharing, you'll all three be full screen. And I think the way it's set up now is when you're sharing, you'll be on the side there in the small windows next to the contents. So
Hi, Shreya and V.
Hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon, Dr. Iyengar.
Mm,
My name is Tim. I'm the technician. I will be in the background during the whole session, but available through the chat or anything else comes up. You could just do a shout out. But will you be sharing some slide content?
mhm.
Can you show me
Yes,
can you show me your screen share real quick?
yes. Let me just open my slides. Yeah,
Okay,
should be
very
good.
good. So we've seen everybody's screen share.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have audio in their presentation at all in their PowerPoint? Okay, then I guess we've got another minute at least to go, but we are all set.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to 1:45 whenever you, I'm not sure if you want to have the room populated a little bit more, but either way, I guess it's up to you guys whenever you want to kick off. So I'm gonna
Thank you so much. Tim.
I'll slide in the background now, but I'll be here.
Yes. So I guess we have 1 hour, 1:45 to 2:45, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping we will be done in like, we should have at least 20 minutes or 30 minutes for discussion, because otherwise I was there at this presentation at Museum of Natural History or Smithsonian. And the whole time the presenters were just presenting and there was like no time for engagement. And by the time it was already late and I had to like get off. So we don't want to have that situation here. Maybe we can wait for another couple of minutes and we can start. And this video is being recorded, so it's great. We can share the link later on when it's given to us. I'm not sure if any others are on the call because when I looked at the wait list, it was basically full. So I'm not sure whether people will be able to. Oh, Jamie is joining. Great. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Regan. Thanks for joining. We'll just start in a minute or so. Hi, Jamie. Great. So I think with the interest of time, since we will be, we have a full agenda of our slides and everything, we'll quickly start. I'm just with the introduction. I'm Radhika Iyengar. I'm at the Center for Sustainable Development. And my focus area is education for sustainable development, really focusing on UN's SDGs and hoping that we can learn a lot from the integration of SDGs into curriculum, into various different activities, into community activities, informal education, non-formal education. And I'm happy to also introduce Shreya and Anvi. Shreya Iyer, do you want to do a quick introduction?
Hello, my name is Shreya. I'm a sophomore at Melbourne High School, and I'm particularly interested in the intersection of health with the environment, specifically how microplastics can affect our body in like diseases. So that's my particular interest, and I'm very happy to be here today.
Thank you, Shreya. Anvi?
Hi everyone, I'm Anvi Anand. I'm a sophomore at the Lawrenceville School, and I've been working with Shreya and some other eco ambassadors with Columbia for like the past 2 years. Some projects we've done have been through this Eco Ambassador Summer program that we've done for the past 2 summers, and also locally we have a climate action group in our town where we do a lot of projects, and overall there's a lot of different programs we've been doing as Eco Ambassadors, so we're really happy to share our experience today.
Thank you, Anvi. Thank you, Shreya. I'll start with like some background on the on education for sustainable development, and we can, take it forward for ESD as well for the Eco Ambassadors program specifically. So looking at green skills for the future, the Eco Ambassadors Solutions Lab is what we've been working with our colleagues at SDGs today, and some of us are at the Center for Sustainable Development at Columbia University. So just wanted to bring this picture here, which is about UNESCO's greening skills. And this was a guidance report that was released recently, which is about greening education and the greening education curriculum. And it has all these different dimensions that we are focusing on. We take this framework and we focus on all of these elements into our program, Eco Ambassador Solutions Lab. It has some quality related issues, it has justice focus, it has action oriented and comprehensive, and it is relevant, covering the topics or different themes. Also, here is something that we've been focusing on, that climate is not just climate science, it is different versions, and it has all these different pillars that we need to take into account, which is environmental, of course, which is climate science and ecosystems and biodiversity, but it also has a big component on social, which is climate justice, resilience building, and also economic. These are all the different pillars of sustainable development which we try to integrate into our program. So just example of what UNESCO proposes, we write, essays, tests, we have storytelling, we have project-based work. These are all the type of learning activities, usually ESD competencies are mapped to, and we have included some form or the other of these activities in our Eco Ambassadors Solutions Lab program. The learning objectives for this particular theme, we've been doing this for the past 4 years, and This year's theme is Oceans, Rivers, and Water Bodies in Your Backyard. It was funded by New Jersey and New York Sea Grant programs. And so their focus is mainly microplastic, which we've integrated into this particular, integrated into the summer work. It's mostly technical skills, data analysis. We use GIS system very specifically. And the content knowledge is basically, again, knowing about water bodies and specifically plastic. And then what are some of the soft skills, communication, self-awareness, becoming a global citizen. These are some of the soft skills that we've tried to integrate. Just a little bit more on, this was a flyer. As you see, the content areas are sustainability, climate knowledge, technical skills, citizen science is something that we really promote. And then we are joined by various different experts, which we are lucky to have at Columbia and beyond. It is kind of a intensive program for 7 weeks where we take the students 2 weeks, 2 days a week, and we have these sessions with them, and then they've been given this task of creating a story map. And I'm sure Anvi and Shreya will be able to share more on what their story maps are about and what they have learned in the program. Outcomes are technical skills, SDGs knowledge, collaborative learning, and there is also a certificate of completion at the end of the course after we review the different story maps. There is a big task here in terms of mentorship, because we provided a lot of mentorship guidance from experts who come in. So that's a big component. There's also a digital storytelling component and a global citizenship component. It was again very locally driven. Shreya and we can recognize all these pictures because they've been a part of this Rocktoberfest and various different events that we've been having in our community in Melbourne and New Jersey. And now our program has gone from this local understanding of what things should be to a much larger scale. This year we had 246 students apply, only 118 got accepted, and out of 38 countries, 15 countries are represented in the accepted pool of students, and then 42 students are represented from the US itself, from 6 states. What did they do? They made these story maps, which you can again go and check on the sdgstoday.org Eco-Ambassadors program. This is from the past years. I've just compiled, so this is just a screenshot. You can always look up all these story maps going forward. Just one more thing from my end. We've been also using these story maps and maps in the Ages of Globalization course. It is open to high school students and teachers. I welcome everyone to take this course because it's really been fascinating to see how GIS can be integrated into learning about history and learning about where we are, what are the some of world challenges. And Professor Sachs takes us to 100 and I think 80 odd countries, all UNESCO sites. And so it's like a reliving of history to understand where we are and how we need to take our work forward. So I'll stop there. And who wants to go next? Maybe Shreya, since she's there on my right side of the screen. Shreya, if you want to go next, please.
Can you see this?
Yes, perfect.
Wait, it's not working for me. Sorry. Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Shreya Iyer, and I'm currently a sophomore at Melbourne High School. So, my journey into this topic of environmentalism began 6 years ago with the presentation on climate change. See, as a 4th grader assigned to do a project, I didn't understand all that much about the mechanics of climate change. All I knew was that there were turtles dying and there were polar bears dying, and we couldn't let that happen. Now, 6 years later, my passion remains the same, but my focus has shifted from animals to the intersection of health and the environment. This change was facilitated by participation in a climate action group in my town called the Melbourne Climate Action Group. By engaging in the advocacy of change within my own community, I was able to further my understanding of policies and the amount of effort required to change policies, as well as the factors that inhibit policies to be passed in the first place. Furthermore, this group allowed me to understand the various different topics currently afflicting the world, whether that be in the soil, in the air, in the water, or in the plastics that we use. So, The Eco Ambassador Program. I have been participating in the Eco Ambassador Program for the last 2 years, working on the effect of conflict on the environment in the first year and the effect of microplastics on health this last year. This exposure is one of the first things that I appreciate about the program. I have full confidence that I would have never considered the intersection of conflict and the environment in the depth that I did without the program, nor would I have considered the details of how microplastics affect health. These two topics that I have found are incredibly interesting and impactful on my current view of society. However, what I believe to have been the most beneficial aspect of this program is its international audience. By connecting with students across the globe, I was able to truly understand the varying effects of climate change in different areas. It's one thing to read about these impacts, and another to hear these experiences firsthand. This experience made me reconsider what I thought I knew about the adverse effects of climate change, as I was forced to reevaluate the conditions around the globe, the problems that people were afflicted by the most. Furthermore, interacting with international students helped me understand the different methods used by nations to counter climate change, whether that be a policy change or the geographical changes made to adapt to the environment. Impact. So, there were many substantial impacts of this program on its participants, whether that be through exposure, knowledge gained, or connections with other students and researchers. For me, personally, I believe that the most impactful of these was the knowledge I gained, specifically on microplastics this year. This year's topic on microplastics introduced me to the field of health in correlation with the environment, specifically the effect of microplastics on health, which was the topic for my story map this year. However, the impact of this program reaches far wider than just that. I believe that the most crucial factor in combating any problem for climate change is creating awareness. By having so many students around the globe advocating for a topic like this, change is made. By educating others on the fact that their actions are not only affecting the health of their environment, but also their own health, their own lives, we change the narrative. It's no longer change our actions to fix the environment and save the animals. No, the narrative becomes change our actions to save ourselves. I think this change influenced by the Eco Ambassador Program is crucial because it focuses us to take action. The problem is no longer something that we can procrastinate. It is affecting us right now. And this awareness and this action is what creates change. I have personally experienced this as I used the awareness I gained in the Eco Ambassador Program to engage in advocacy within my own community through campaigning for policy changes with the Melbourne for Climate Action Group and presenting the information I've learned in events such as this. So, my goals. As someone planning on venturing into the field of healthcare, I'm currently researching on the reduction of BPA-induced diseases through the biodegradation of BPA by lacase and the reduction of toxicity by natural products. Thus, as of right now, one of my aspirations is to determine the optimal variety of lacase mobilization, variety, concentration, and how the introduction of the enzyme into the human environment could alter body functions. This topic was actually introduced during the Eco Ambassador Program because that's where I learned about all of the negative effects of BPA, which is a common chemical used to make plastic. On a broader spectrum, I hope to continue spreading awareness about these lesser-known impacts to the general population and drive change in my own community as well as on a larger scale. And one of my ambitions that I hope to achieve is changing the usage of microplastics in everyday materials such as cosmetics and detergents because they're used as abrasion, as well as the change of company policy to use ligand derivatives rather than BPA for plastic creation. If there's anything that I'd like all of you to take away from today's presentation, it's the importance of speaking out. I know that this has probably been said by many, but it can't hurt to reinforce this message. The government derives its power from the governed. As citizens of nations, we have the right and we have the ability to create change. And personally, I believe the best way to go about doing this is by speaking out, spreading awareness, and taking action. As we all know, united we stand, divided we fall. And this unity must be fostered not only within the members of our local community, but also between the international community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ria. That was really wonderful to hear your experiences. We'll go over to Anvi and then we'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you. Okay. All right, can you guys see this?
Yep.
So today I'll be talking about my Eco-Ambassador summer experience, a little about Sustainable Development Goal empowerment, and global citizenship. Starting from the actual program. Now, Dr. Iyengar already outlined a little bit about what this program is, but from a student perspective, this program is a virtual and free course around the age of sustainability. The past summer, the summer of 2023, the theme was a more overall theme around the age of sustainability, while the summer of 2024 focused more on microplastics, oceans, Sustainable Development Goals 6, 13, and 14. And every year there's a certain theme that this program focuses on. Throughout the summer, we meet 2 to 3 times per week, and every session is really, really important. There's always a lot of guest speakers that join, whether it be from different organizations or just other students doing research during their summers who want to just share their own data collections. And the mentors in this program always make sure to provide us with important lessons and workshops on how to actually use the tools we get through this program, which I'll go talk about later on. And of course, we have a lot of discussion. There's people from all over the world, and this program really provides like a platform for youth to talk among each other on different concepts, whether it be informally or formally about topics locally or on a global scale. Now, what did I learn? Well, I got friendship. I learned how to collect data effectively and well. I learned how to tell a story, and I shared my voice. From Morocco to Italy to the US, there are so many diverse voices who share similar interests to me in this program, and everyone is super friendly and open-minded to each other's opinions. With people coming from different backgrounds, there comes more perspectives. And I made friends with people ranging from Japan to California to India. I made many observations of how everyone has their own story to tell, whether it be about their local town or something they're passionate for. Something I truly took away from this was that all of this revolved around making change for the world, being the next generation of change makers, whether it be about climate, about socioeconomic change, or just change in general. Now, every week, like I said, there's a designated topic for us to discuss and learn, and the mentors from Columbia provide us with key information and resources like data sets to get our brains moving and our story maps ready. There are different simulations that they provide that give us a more clear understanding of what we're actually researching. And for example, they gave us 17 Sustainable Development Goal data sets that revolved around each goal. In this picture, as you can see, for number 13, taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts, there are 5 really vivid data sets. And in carbon dioxide emissions, there's a bunch of info you can incorporate in your own story map, such as like the total emissions per month, the regional share of emissions, and overall these graphs are really important when you're making your final story map. Of course, without a story map, you need to have a story. And these features are very, very easy to use, but the result is very professional. At the beginning of the course, we get provided with an ArcGIS license, which is an Esri web-based mapping software, and these features really allow us to tell our story. A couple examples from Shreya and I's story map we made 2 years ago in summer of 2023. We made like a cover with a GIF in the background. We used a timeline to show the scale of events, and we quoted different sources like the Wilson Center. We also collected data by using the mapping features for like each place. We tracked and collected data on the number of casualties, whether it be from the Russia-Ukrainian war or whether it be for the Taliban in Afghanistan. Just to give background info, we did a story map on the wars inflicting the people on the planet. So ultimately, how the wars that are going on right now are affecting the environments that the regions are located in. And some other really important data features that we used were like the scroll bar to show the before and after effects. And this is an example of Kargil Lake in Kabul, where just in like 1 or 2 years, the actual lake, due to global warming and how dry the terrain is and the location of Afghanistan is, this lake shrunk by 3/4 of its capacity, which is a huge amount. And some other data features we used were just like scrolling through different locations and mapping information about these locations. Like Kabul is known for being the main water source of Afghanistan, and we provided more info on that. And finally, just sharing my voice through the summer program. Though the summer program is only for 2 months of the summer, 7 intensive weeks, its impacts are truly everlasting on yourself and on others. And though this work is just a temporary thing that is left untouched after being published, the mindset that you acquire, it's very, you don't feel like complete, you don't feel complacent with what you do. You get this mindset of doing, eager to do more, eager to make more change. And this program really sparked that for me, because it can just be a simple thing like talking to your family or bringing up a conversation in school. And this program unlocked more opportunities for me. Because like right now, I'm talking to you all about these experiences. And some other places where I was able to do that were at the International Conference for Sustainable Development held in Columbia University, at the Cornell World Congress that happened in the past summer, and just representation of these story maps in different COP events, and overall, just talking to other people beyond the summer program. Just to give you a sense of how many people globally are actually aware of the Sustainable Development Goals, well, 74% of people globally are aware. Well, this is just a fact. This is not a true fact. This is a rigged fact. This accounts for people who have only ever heard of the Sustainable Development Goals, but they don't actually know what it is. And that's why it's crucial that we start learning about the Sustainable Development Goals and incorporating it into our own mindsets. If you were to look at it on like a map, just so you can see it, in the USA, only 25% of people are truly aware of the Sustainable Development Goals. In Europe and Australia, the percentages are also fairly low. And South America is still like on average, like in the middle, 50%. While in Asia and Africa, teachings of this are a lot more dense and a lot more populated. So as you can see, on a world scale, a lot of people are actually not well educated on these goals, and it's up to us to do that as we grow. And finally, another work I've been doing with as an eco-ambassador is around global citizenship. So what is global citizenship? Well, basically the formal definition is that it's the social, political, environmental, and economic actions of people and communities who are concerned with the world. In simple words, it's a citizen of the world whose responsibility is to stay informed, empathize with others, have strong morals, and give our world justice. Now, how can we spread more awareness on global citizenship? Just by integrating it into school curriculums, through school clubs, classes, competitions. The youth are more impressionable and they are the future. This is how we can expand on the Sustainable Development Goals and how we can grow global citizenship throughout the world. So what some students and I have been doing for the past year, we've been working with the Ban Ki-moon Foundation to make this toolkit, which is basically a very like detailed guideline for students and faculty so they could start their own programs. And it includes different domains that revolve around global citizenship and its education. And it proposes ways to get others involved, whether it be creating local summits, local assemblies during Earth Month, creating international fairs where people can assimilate into this global citizenship and share their projects. And I just want to leave off with that. The future is in our hands. We have the ability to make change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anvi. I think that was really helpful to know the context and to get your insights. And Shreya also. I'll open it up to any questions here from anyone. I guess meanwhile we start getting the questions. I just wanted to ask you both that imagine that there is a Eco Ambassador program in your school. So how would you make use of that in the school context? And are there some platforms or like existing programs that you can embed Eco Ambassadors in it? Because right now it runs as like for students who are interested, but imagine if it is done for all schools and all students. So maybe your reflections on how useful it will be, or maybe what can schools take from it, will be helpful. I don't know if you have any suggestions, discussion points. Yeah, Shreya?
So, sorry. In our school, in the high school, and I think the middle school as well, all of the science curriculums have started incorporating a earth science, environmental science unit. So incorporating the Eco Ambassador program there would be incredibly useful because we do end up focusing on a lot of the problems that we talk about in the Eco Ambassador program. Like, for example, like Anbi mentioned earlier, both of us did the effect of conflict on the environment 2 years ago. And that was one of the problems that we were touching upon in our science classes, like how nuclear weapons affect the environment. And effectively, that's what we were doing in our story map as well. So I think it would be a very good method of connecting the two.
Also, just to add on to that, in my school, we have different councils for different types of topics, and we have a sustainability council where like every week or every month there are different natives, like just planting more trees, native planting, like just other sustainable events out there. And also kind of similar to what Shreya said, there's environmental science courses, but I feel a lot of them don't actually include like the global citizenship part of sustainability and the actual socioeconomic issues that arise from these environmental impacts. So I think as eco ambassadors, it's really crucial that we actually pitch to these schools that it's not just about the science. Science is really important, but it's also about the effects of this science on other and bigger issues that we have to take action on.
Mm-hmm. Great. I think your point is very valid on taking the action on a much bigger, it's a much bigger call. So any suggestions on what these topics should be, anything that you want to add on in terms of just what we should be knowing and what we should be integrating with the climate sciences work? Any topics that you can think of? I mean, as you mentioned, global citizenship is one. Any other topics? Maybe, to come to think of it, I feel that taking the whole essence of SDG 4.7, which talks about gender integration, which talks about human rights, which talks about sustainability, sustainable living, which talks about global citizenship, ESD. I think those are very important concepts that we have kind of siloed in different pockets. Are there, but I don't know if you agree, or do you think that there should be other topics that we need to be integrating?
I know it's already integrated to a pretty good extent, but I think it never hurts to integrate health more, just because a lot of people in the general community are like, oh, the people all the way on the other side of the world are suffering. Like they don't bring in the fact that they're also going to be suffering at some time soon, or they're already suffering and they just don't know it. So I feel like if you just know that, oh, wait, what I'm doing right now is hurting myself, then we'll actually end up taking action because we're no longer doing it for other people, we're doing it for ourselves. And that's kind of the state we're in right now. So
Very, very true.
Yeah, I think like the essence of it is like empathy, like really feeling what like how some people are more privileged in some ways and how we kind of that kind of blindly leads us to not see the true consequences we're bound to face in the future. Like Shreya kind of covered it mainly. But I guess in education, our goal, like as I guess as the next generation should be for education systems to include I guess kind of emphasize the future results of our actions and not let like the next generations get very lazy and kind of like stay on top of their ecological actions and like how they actually affect the environment when like just for example like fast fashion, a lot of us tend to like just for instant gratification we quickly buy something online, we don't actually assess the value, the the labor that's going into it, the materials that are going into it. But like by kind of informing ourselves by like, oh, this material isn't as sustainable, or oh, the price is a lot cheaper than it should be, we can actually like force that mindset within us and kind of like spread that as like we grow up. Yeah.
Very, very true. Fast fashion, sustainability, different sustainability topics, and the sense of responsibility. Excellent ideas. Any other questions from anyone else? I think this session has been recording, so we can always share it. I'm sure there is a much wider interest amongst the community members, but since I don't know if you have any questions, Anvi or Shreya, for each other's work or for generally, since we are discussing, maybe one thing that we have not really discussed is community connections, because that is often left out. And it's lucky that we have the Melbourne for Climate Action group in our town, but many towns don't have that luxury. And even with Melbourne for Climate Action, are there any specific things that you would want to share about community-based education? You guys have been involved in doing a lot since a couple of years. And so I wanted to just see if you have any ideas or what has been the impact. Or, and then Shreya, you mentioned that some of that in your outline, in your presentation, but any other discussions that you want to include regarding community education? Yeah, Anvi?
I think our group in Milburn has definitely like grew a lot. And I think the main point of why it's grown has because like people are really coming together towards this effort. And I think if other cities, other towns really start advocating for that, people will come together even more. I think the hardest step is actually like taking that initiative. And that's kind of how this group started. Like for the past few years, it's only been growing and it's been going up and up. So I think the main step is just taking that initiative and starting a group or just like taking baby steps because like less is more and like doing anything, like doing something is still doing something. So yeah, like it's really important to just take initiative, whether it be a small impact because it will start that butterfly effect and like gradually create a larger impact like on a community.
That is perfect.
I think another thing that's really attributed to the growth of the Melbourne Climate Action Group is just in general how much all of the students are doing. Because every time I see like a post on the group that says, oh my gosh, this person has presented at this place, and it's like, oh wow, they're doing so much. And then you feel motivated to do more. Like they've done all of this. What can I do to better the environment as well? So I think that atmosphere has just kept on building in that group. And then more and more people are like, I want to help too. If they've done so much, I can also do so much. So it's just that spirit of motivating each other, which I think can be fostered in any town. So everyone should try and do that.
Lovely, very nice. to see that the community, coming together of the community in terms of non-formal, informal ways is really important, as well as doing things in the school. Schools, of course, they take their time, they have permissions to follow, they have all sorts of formalities, but community events and community, I guess, leadership can take place anywhere, anyhow. We don't have rules, thankfully, so we can do whatever we want to do and bring marches and strikes, which we did the Greta strike couple of years back, and from there it originated the whole Melbourne for Climate Action group. But do you see this whole urgency and this sense of climate action in the schools, in your informal conversations, or do you think that that will take some time because there are so many other competing priorities?
I think there definitely lies a little bit of climate action within my school, but I still think like it's bound to grow. Like it will take some time. It's not something you can like switch on and off. I think it's more about just people getting more aware on these issues and like as it gets more dire, like people are actually gonna like start paying more attention. So again just like getting more people educated in our own school communities, like even though right now there may not be as many people since these topics are often overlooked, so kind of like um shifting into a more like environmental lens and like trying to see these issues from like another perspective too within schools, because since like a lot of schools don't actually focus on these topics, like will be really crucial. And again, it's important for us to kind of push for this change in our own administrations so they can start incorporating it into like actual curriculums and people will start applying it to real world situations.
Kind of like on a similar note, I think my school could definitely stand to do more climate action. We still have a lot of plastic utensils in the cafeteria. A lot of people still buy plastic bottles. But I think that's, again, kind of the administration's fault because a lot of the stuff we have isn't as good quality as it should be. Like a lot of our water fountains aren't working as well as they could be, and problems like that. So I think if we all just made it a bit easier and things like that, we could make the whole school a lot more climate friendly. But at the same time, all of the students have some sort of awareness about climate change. They just aren't taking that action. So I think trying to make sure that they actually understand what they're doing to themselves and to the rest of the environment would be very helpful because our science courses do teach some stuff, but they don't teach a lot of things like Anvi mentioned. So we could do a lot more, but we're getting there.
Hmm. Do you think it is because we don't have maybe a environmental, I guess, like eco ambassadors? It gave you the knowledge to do it, but the action is very much student driven. So do you think it is very much like there needs to be like a very obvious curriculum like this, which is the Eco Ambassador program, which can basically make you understand this is the science behind it, this is where we are headed, and this is the problem, and then students can take this on? Or do you think that it is still, I mean, right now people can take information from everywhere. It's from the internet, from everywhere. So are students waiting to get this information, or if there are students that are already students, find out information from all over, the internet? So I don't know what the hindrance is here. I don't know if you have any reflections on that, on how do we really make sure that action is taking place by each and every student.
This might sound a bit off, but I think we can't expect them to do it by themselves. Like, we kind of have to give it to them straight up because I remember at Rocktoberfest, which is our town's community event, I had a poster on the effects of microplastics. Like me and Anvi were both doing microplastics, and we had like a list on the microplastics found in different cosmetic products. And a lot of people stopped by and they were like, "Oh, wait, I never knew that, and it causes cancer." So if we just give the information straight up, they're more likely to actually go out and do something, especially if it affects them. So like we have to deliver the information straight up, tell them what to do and what not to do. And we have to make it easy enough that they'll follow it, because a lot of people are aware they just don't have that extra motivation to actually look up on the internet, even though that will probably take like a grand total of 5 minutes.
Yeah, I
Mm.
think like a lot of people know these issues on a very like superficial, like surface leveled, like surface level. So I think once they know, like it's almost like they're getting incentivized, or like
Mhm.
kind of what Shreya said, they have to be motivated to make this change, because like again, a lot of people won't actually make change unless it impacts them or like people around them. And once they're put into that situation, it'll be too late. So they kind of have to like take these facts with like a grain of salt and kind of um act beforehand if possible. But I think the best way to do that is kind of by giving them like the information straight away, like Shreya said, like the important information and how it's going to affect them in the future.
Mhm. So still giving information, because I thought that everyone knew about it, but based on your observation, they get very surprised in general if we do events in the community. So, okay, so seems like Melbourne for Climate Action is still has a job on educating everyone. And I hope that, more and more students like you both become a big part of what youth driven action can be. And hopefully we will collectively not just looking at all the adults but also the kids when they are there. If they can show by example, then I think it goes a long way rather than just theoretical knowledge and just piece of information which people may forget. But if there are people like you who are avoiding plastic, who are making that voice, making a lot of noise, that's again also something I want to ask you. Like, are we in the environmental space very patient with things? Do we need to take up charge and have a big ask and be very vocal and in every platform and be a little bit impatient and challenge ourselves, challenge others? Do you think that would be a good do you think that would be a good way of making it an urgent mission?
I think the only way to actually progress from like what we have right now is to, yeah, definitely challenge and take these topics to like a higher degree of importance, of significance, because like again, people won't actually make change until they see the true consequences of their actions. And um yeah, they definitely need to start relating to these issues, because as of now, I feel like it's in their brains. They kind of store it to the side, like, oh, this is impacting the whole of Earth. The Earth is so huge. There's so many people. Like, it's almost like out of the world type of scale. It's not very, this issue is so big that it doesn't like personally impact them. And yeah, like I would say that you would have to kind of challenge this type of view and kind of center it back into the mindsets of people and how it's actually impacting them as well, not just the whole world, like every single person in that world personally to like an individual level as well.
Mm.
Yeah, same, like similar to Tanvi. We definitely have to push them more, because right now it's kind of like one of those big tasks. So personally, I myself am a procrastinator, so I relate to this a little bit. But if there's such a big task and it'll happen like 20, 30 years, like I read an article and it was like most of the world will be out of water by 2050. And a lot of people would look at that and be like, oh my gosh, that's awful. But 2050, that's like another 26 years away. We could solve that later. Like right now, let's just focus on getting that test done. So by challenging them, if we can make smaller deadlines, smaller tasks that you need to get done by like next week or this month, things like that, it'll really push people to actually do something rather than saying, oh, 26 years, like we have time, because we don't.
Right. Very true, and Shreya, I think we need to come up with some action plan for Melbourne so that we can have these milestones as we go forward by community members, by policy, policy circles, by the township committee. We should ask them what is the sustainability plan for Melbourne, and it would be great to have those indicators and milestones. And again, maybe we can jointly work with the Melbourne for Climate Action group and talk about these milestones that we need to achieve, including the school board of education to have a sustainability plan, including the town, to have broader sustainability goals, to see what is it that we are striving towards. Otherwise, it will, as you're saying, it will never get done because it's 26 years away and we don't know. By the time we reach that 2050, we'll realize, oh, well, we have done nothing because you never really made progress towards that goal. You had that goal somewhere and then everyone forgot about it. It was much later, much years have gone by. And somehow maybe we can use the Sustainable Development Goals framework as a framework to highlight, to have these local goals. And if I guess our policymakers can't do it, we'll do it for Melbourne and say this is the goal that we need to adopt as like a community member, rather than it coming from somewhere else. or something to think about as we go forward. I guess my last question to both of you, and then anything else that we want to add, is what do you see Melbourne for Climate Action doing that would be most impactful in the coming years? Any ideas? I'm sorry to be putting you on spot, but since we are having this discussion, it will be great to have your ideas and see how Melbourne for Climate Action as well as the Eco Ambassadors program can take forward for both programs, Melbourne for Climate Action as well as Eco Ambassadors. Anything that comes up your mind to see how we can take it forward? One definite thing you mentioned is education. So again, education on all of these pollution areas. And maybe the other thing could be like the school related wastage that we can avoid, which can easily be avoided, and stop using plastic in our cafeterias can be another thing. But any other topics that you think would be helpful for Melbourne for Climate Action and the Eco Ambassadors program at Columbia University to take forward? Continue this plastic related discussion, I guess, because that's not going to go away sometime soon. So maybe a different version of the plastic related discussions that we've had, more knowledge, more facts, more ways of avoiding plastic as we did in the past Eco Ambassador program.
Yeah, I think definitely that. And also maybe just like student-led initiatives like throughout the town. Like it can be like a small thing like starting a petition, or like similar to what you said, like making milestones and kind of like celebrating on those milestones, like as a town, to bring like people together on these issues. And I think as time goes by, like we'll keep bringing out new topics to discuss, new topics to work on, like in different festivals, like the Rocktoberfest. So I think but it's very like student led. So I think, yeah, I think those are some important events we can start tackling. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, oh, sorry.
Please go ahead, Shri.
This relates back to education, but a lot of the presentations we do are very, very general. It's kind of for the whole population, which is very good. But at the same time, there's so many students in our community that are doing such small, like not small per se, but like very specific research on specific things or specific topics that don't get spoken about nearly as much. So I think a few days a year, maybe every few months, I think it would be really helpful to have all of like these researchers, these students just come together and present their topics of interest. Like I know someone said they were interested in the effect of soil, and that was very interesting because I was like, soil? Never heard of that before. And even if you're so involved in the environment, these things just keep coming up. So by having like a meeting every few months just to inform the whole general population on like the specific details or specific issues that are happening, I think that would be really helpful to spread like the environment issues.
Yeah, and I know like Milburn, for example, there are different competitions too where people can share their research. So I guess like building upon those, so people are actually like learning from their projects and like they're incentivized to actually share their experiences, is like a great opportunity for students to like spread their research.
I think these are some great points to focus on going forward. Any last reflections from both of your end? My last reflection is that a lot of work needs to be done, but it cannot be done by any one person. We have to make use of all platforms. Eco ambassadors, Melbourne for Climate Action, maybe attending township meetings, maybe focusing on Board of Education meetings, going to school, classrooms, teachers, principals. Everyone needs to know what this task is, and it should not be siloed. It should not be done in with 35 students in one whole school as a club. It should be as a part of everything that we do, celebrations, any activities that we do. It should really be very done mindfully and very conscientiously, because if it is not done mindfully, we just happen to create a lot of waste, which doesn't really go away. As we know, we can't like just forget about the waste. It comes back to us in all sorts of diseases, plastic pollution, plastic, microplastic, nanoplastic, all sorts of things are coming back to affecting our health. And again, Shreya is passionate about doing work on the health. I think it's all interconnected on how environmental consequences are focusing our health, are impacting our health, and then changing our lifestyles for the worse. So again, thinking of all those aspects, not just focusing on one thing, because it is circular and it impacts each other. So getting that, at least that systems thinking orientation, I think is really important. So I'm hoping that we will continue to focus on all of these different aspects, and since they are all linked. But any last words from you all before we wrap up?
I think another thing that we should focus on doing is just spreading this wherever we go. So the more you see something around you, you'll just unconsciously begin to adopt that behavior. So if everyone starts carrying around a metal water bottle, then you'll unconsciously start carrying a metal water bottle, because that's herd mentality, right? So if we can get one person to do it, and then two people to do it, and then four people to do it, and so on, we're going to end up making an impact. But that one person has to take the first step. So
Perfect. So collective action and collectively working on things together. Very nice. And we anything from your end?
I think both of you covered a lot. You ended it off really well, but I guess kind of like, yeah, similar to what Shreya said, like starting that trend of action. Like there's so many social media trends going around. Why not start one on the environment, right? Like just getting that population, getting people interested, and starting that butterfly effect. So we can start to approach and start to get closer to fulfilling the Sustainable Development Goals by 2050, because we have, again, a lot of work to do, but we can still collectively make change.
Mm-hmm. Collective action, collective education in all platforms, and making it very urgent, and also seeping it into various different policy mechanisms as much as we can by being, citizens. So citizen-led work, and also student-driven action, I think some of you have mentioned, I think is something that we should strive for. But great thoughts here, and I just want to congratulate both of you for being a true eco ambassador and taking things forward. And this is again, our presentation here at this women's forum is again a wonderful way of showcasing. So I want to thank the Smithsonian Museum here, and the center that is able to give us this platform. And thank you, Tim, for all the technical support here, for making it so seamless, and really appreciate both of your thoughts. So thank you. I don't see any other question coming up in the chat, so we should maybe end our discussion, and hoping that all these activities will continue beyond this presentation, and hoping that we'll get more places like these amazing groups where we can present our ideas. So thank you, Anvi, and thank you, Shreya, for being here today.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a nice day.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Bye.